What's up, folks? I'm Dwayne, and this is Blackboard Gaming, where we teach you about all these great board games that are out there, waiting to be played by you and yours.
I'm a simple man, don't wanna complicate you.
Hey, everybody! So the original plan for today's video was Alicia and I were going to share with you our top 10 new to us board games that we played in 2024. She was going to give you 5 and I was going to give you 5. Unfortunately, Alicia got called away for some family business that took her out of town. So you're stuck with just me. So instead, I'm going to tell you about 5 board games that came out in 2024 that missed my top 10 by that much. So last week, Alicia and I posted our top 10 favorite board games of 2024. And I'll leave a link in the description below, and I'll also leave, you can follow that eye in the top right hand corner if you want to go check that list out. And as I said in that video, there were a lot of great board games that I really enjoyed that came out in 2024. Now, my number 1 through 9 pick, I'm real comfortable where they're at. I'm satisfied with their placement. My number 10 pick was a game I love. I really enjoyed that game, but I wanted to make sure that I talked about games in my top 10 that I had played more than once, And so these 5 games that I'm going to tell you about, I only played them once, maybe twice. We'll get to that when I talk about them. But if I had gotten more plays of them, they may have cracked my top 10, maybe even made it as high as 9. I don't know. But without wasting any time, I want to go ahead and tell you about these 5 games. Okay, so before going into this, I forgot to mention that 3 of these games we have in the collection. 2 I was introduced to by my my Friday night board game group. So the first game I want to talk about is a game that I've only played once with my wife, but I've taught this game twice. I am a board game cleric for one of my local board game spots, Vault of Midnight. They have a monthly board game get together, and so I'm tasked with teaching certain games. And this month, this month I was tasked with teaching Fromage. So Fromage, it's a game about making cheese. Now, when I did my video about my top 10 games at Gen Con that I wanted to check out, Fromage was at the top of my list. And like I said, it's about making cheese. So I was thinking like, oh, viticulture, but with cheese? Sign me up, because viticulture is one of my top 10 games of all time. Now, one thing I want to say about this game, like I said, me and my wife played it. And we recognize that it's not really about making cheese. It doesn't take you through the process, but it's really like a set of 4 mini games that you're playing. Now the player board is like a cheese wheel, and there's simultaneous play where everybody is playing in their own little section, and they're able to send their little worker cheese guys out placing cheese out on the board. And so you're trying to do, like, in one area there's area majority, one area there's a set collection, another area you're trying to score for adjacency, your cheese being adjacent to on the board. And then you're gaining resources like cows and buildings and fruit, and you're using those to create certain the fruit to create certain kind of cheeses, and the cows will allow you to place a cheese out on the board without placing a worker, and then the buildings will give you a special ability, and then there are cards that are resources, and those are special cheese orders that you're able to achieve, and you gain points off of those. And there's different ways to score points in this game. Now, like I said, we played it at first and we were kind of like, okay, but we were playing it at 2 players. with it being simultaneous play, I think this game, is better at the higher player counts. Like, I would definitely play this at 4 players because simultaneous play. And I saw that as I was teaching these 2 different sets of 4 people that were playing this game. And I was watching the interaction, and I'm like, okay, I'm really digging this game now. And of course I scored the deluxe version, so I got the little wooden cows and the wooden buildings and stuff like that. So I really started seeing why everybody's liking this game just by teaching it. But like I said, I've only played it once, so this is the first game that missed my top 10 by that much. But it is a great game, and that is Fromage. So the second game I want to talk about is one of the 2 games that we don't have in the collection. And I was introduced to this game. I did a demo of this game back at Grand Con over at Grand Rapids, Michigan back in September. And that game is Forges of Ravenshire. Now, fortunately, I didn't pick up this game, but one of my friends from my Friday night board game group, he picked it up. So I was able to get one play of it. And a couple months ago, Alicia and I did our favorite games where dice is the main aspect. And the idea of that video came from different games that I had played around that time where dice was the main component. And Forges of Ravenshire was one of those games. So in this game, we take on the role, it's a dice placement game where we take on the role of blacksmiths. And we are, creating armor and swords and stuff like that in this fantasy world. And on our turn, there's 2 phases to the game. First phase, we have 3 dice, and we're going to take those dice and we're going to place them out onto the board and take that action, based on the pip value. And then we're going to retrieve a dice from another dice from the board and place it on our board. The thing is, the 3 dice come in 3 different colors. So they represent 3 different guilds. So when we retrieve a dice, we get to place it in that matching color guild and then run that guild. So during the game, we get to upgrade our 3 different guilds. And then once we've done that 3 times, then we're gonna take the dice and place it over into our forge, and we're gonna gain like resources like charcoal or wood or metal, stuff like that. And then we're, like I said, we're creating these different contracts. And I really enjoyed that game. I love dice placement games, and this one was no exception. I really enjoyed that game. But like I said, I only got to play it one time, so it could have just made it if I got some more plays in it. And I have to say, the art, I love the gameplay. I love the mechanics. The art, I don't know how I feel about it. I know these aren't cute critters, These are hardened critters that are blacksmiths. So, I get that. But Forges of Ravenshire is a game I would definitely make it into my top 10. The next game I want to talk about is a game we do have in the collection. I actually kickstarted this game, and that game is called Skyrise. Now, I was attracted to it for Andrew Bosley art initially. So this is a city building game where each player has a number of buildings that have different numerical values on them. And on your turn, you're placing those buildings out onto the board. And so let's say if I place a building out that has a number 23 on it, then the next player it's an auction bidding, so the next player can outbid me by placing one of their buildings that have a higher numerical value. So they might put a 37 out there. And then everybody's going to keep doing that until players have backed out of the bid. And then the one player that won the bid gets to leave their building out on the board, and then they're going to take a token and place it in their play area. And there's a set collection thing. You're collecting these tokens and you're scoring points based on how many tokens you get. And then there are other tokens that give you different ways to score points. Now, I have not played my copy. I played my friend's copy because he also kickstarted it. and I really, really, really enjoyed it. Now, the reason I haven't played my copy is because I think this game sings better at higher player count, and it's just me and Alicia. So when I introduce this game to Alicia, which I think she's gonna like it, I want to at least do 3 or 4 players. But in my one play of it, I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, there were some great games that came out in 2024, and Skyrise is no exception. So this could have made it into my top 10 if I had more plays of it. The next game I want to talk about is the second game that we don't own, and that is Inventors of the South Tigris. Now, I really, really love the South Tigris series, with Wayfarers being my favorite. Scholars is right behind there. Now, I played Inventors one time at my Friday night board game group, and I have to say that Inventors is probably the heaviest. I don't know, it's up there with Scholars or whatever, but I really enjoyed it. And so in Inventors, you're inventing different items. The thing is, there's other people can help you in publishing these items. So somebody's invented, coming up with the concept, and then somebody say take your idea and they publish it, and then they test it or whatever, and people are scoring points if they have their tokens on those items. You know, it's been a minute since I played it, but I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the games in the South Tigris series. And so, like I said, I've only played it once, and I did really well with it, you know. And I like those games. I like those games that give you that puzzle to solve and you figuring it out. So Inventors of the South Tigris was really up there for me for top games of 2024. But since I've only played it once, it missed it by that much. The last game I want to talk about is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful games to come out in 2024, and that is River of Gold. Now, I've actually played this twice. You know, I played when I first was introduced to it, and then I got a copy and I introduced this to Alicia probably a couple weeks ago. And this is the smoothest Euro game you'll ever play, because it's like on your turn, you have this dice, and the dice dictates what you're going to do. There's a number, and then there's a symbol that represents the different clans. And so you use the number to move your ship, that number of spaces on the board, and then you interact with the different buildings that are along the river, gaining resources or whatever, or points, or favor. And then there's the symbol. You use that to either build a building out onto the board, spending the coin to build these buildings, or you can satisfy a contract to a certain like artisan or a noble or whatever, or a monk, you know, and you gain influence in these different clans. And then at the end of your turn, you roll your dice. So while everybody else is taking their turn, you pretty much know what you have to work with. So you're already figuring out what you're going to do on your turn. So it cuts down on the downtime. Now, like I said, I've actually played this twice, and I really, really loved it, you know. So this could be like my 11, 12, 13, you know. Like I said, I'm comfortable with my 1 through 9, and this might get to my top 10, you know. It might take the number 10 spot with more plays. Like I said, Pirates of Maracaibo, I love my pirates, you know. So, River of Gold, you definitely check this one out, but it missed my top 10 by that much. So there you have it. 5 more games, great games that came out this year. It might have been able to crack my top 10 if I've had more plays of them. Like I said, I wanted to put games on my top 10 list that I have played multiple times. But the thing I really want you to take away from this is like I said, there are a lot of great games that came out in 2024. And I've been watching a lot of people's top 10 lists, other content creators rather. And there's so many different games. And I appreciate how different everybody's list is. Because I'm constantly learning about a game like it's on somebody's top 10 list that I've never heard of. And I'm like, ooh, I want to check this out. And like I said, I appreciate that because everybody's different. And I know everybody has their own games that they love, but I'm so glad that we're not talking about the same game in everybody's list, because then I wouldn't be able to enjoy all the content creators' personalities and their banter and back and forth and stuff like that. I love watching all these content creators and learning about these great games. And that's why I'm doing this video, to let you see, hey, there's some other great games. These are the ones that just made the short list. And I could easily put some more games on here, but there are games that I haven't even gotten to the table yet that came out in 2024 that are on a lot of people's top 10 lists. So, in the comments below, I want you to tell me about what's your favorite game of 2024 that you have not seen a lot of on other people's lists. Or if you don't really get into the list, what is your your favorite game of 2024? And if you like the contents of this video, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And I'm Dwayne. This has been Blackboard Gaming, and I will see you next time.